So first of all, I want to thank you for joining this session. We're going to do a deep dive on the glossary generator today. All right, and I'll just briefly explain the glossary generator. This is what it looks like. I hope that most of you have used the glossary generator. Really important generator. And just to let you know that glossaries they provide a centralized resource for terminology. And, they help in comprehension and retention, and they offer your students immediate definitions and explanations, supporting self-directed learning. The glossaries encourage your students to reference and understand key terms. They can be digital, and we're going to show you how to do a PDF and then put it in Microsoft Teams. I think that'd be really useful. And they can also be printed. And in brackets, you can see that I put flashcards because they actually work really well as flashcards. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to exit this. We're going to go to the glossary. I'm just going to type it out. Remember, whenever you find yourself revisiting one of the generators frequently, what you should do is just favoritize it. And when you favoritize it, it's going to appear in your favorites. Really, highly recommend that. So I'm going to click on use here, and I'm going to show you a typical example of why you want to use glossaries. When I was at college, we used to teach this qualification, which was the BTEC Level 3 IT. And the first unit was, it was an exams-based unit. So there was so much I used to help the teacher in delivering this because it was such a big unit. We took responsibility for it. And because it was an exams based, we all had the responsibility of supporting our students so they can pass their exam. And in this particular unit, there was just so many terms and terminologies that it would overwhelm the students. Okay, just so many. So what I would recommend with a unit like this with so much terminology is to use the glossary. Now I can put, and I wouldn't recommend that you put all your definitions in one. I would break it up. So for example, in this unit here, which is the PDF, it's a book really. It really breaks it down into networking and maybe file formats, communities, and things like that. So I definitely wouldn't recommend you create a glossary for the whole of Unit 1, but to break it up. So you have different glossaries there. So for example, I can just put network in here, which is absolutely fine, right? I can put 10 entries or 20 entries. We'll leave it as 10. And I can click on generate, okay? And what this will do is it will generate a glossary based on this. I should have said networking, not network, but let's see what it does. Okay, yeah, it figured it out. That's absolutely fine, and you might want to do that. But where it gets really, really powerful is where you include your terms. All right, so basically, I'm just going to, let me just copy this in a Word document. So what I would recommend you do is you have much more control when you actually include the terms yourself. All right, so if I say LAN, and this is a trick here, well, it's a tip, I would put comma. You can do this, by the way, LAN, press enter, and then put server, press enter. But I think a faster way if you do this, if you just put commas in there, LAN, comma, router, comma, you get the idea, firewall, you get the idea. I don't know all of the terms because it wasn't really my area. Let's put WAN, I know WAN, personal network maybe, I think. You get the idea. And when you put commas in between all of these words, if you just press enter, it does, all of these terms for you. Now, if we clicked on generate, and what I would do is don't forget you've got this complexity slider in many of your generators. And I would take advantage of that because you can actually create, definitions that target the different abilities in your lesson, and you might want to do that or you might not want to. So if we I'll show you the difference. If I click on generate here, so it's just going to include those terms. And I would definitely go to the unit specification and then generate that, from that unit specification. You can see what it's done here. And if I take it all the way to the lowest, I can click on regenerate. Let's see what it does. And we could get a simpler, as you can see, it is simpler than before. So you can have different definitions here. So I'm just going to take it all the way to the highest and just click on regenerate. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to export it to a number of useful formats. Okay, so I'm just going to export this as a CSV file, and I'll tell you why. Let's go back here, and I'm just going to call it demo 6. Okay, so that's a CSV file, and I'll show you why we're going to do that. And we're also going to export this as a PDF, and we're also going to export this as a Word document, and you'll see why. All right, so we've exported it to 3 formats. Let's go back to my PowerPoint presentation. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this one here. So we exported it as a Word document, right? And when we export it as a Word document, you can turn this into flashcards, and you can use your creativity as a teacher in using these flashcards in your lesson. So, for example, if I was still in the classroom, I'd definitely be doing this. I would print these out as flashcards, and I might use it to create seating arrangements while at the same time engaging my students in a collaborative activity. And what do I mean by that? I would print this out, I would cut them in the middle, and I've got a video to show you. This is from a Microsoft video that I saw the other day, where she was creating flashcards, but she was doing it manually, by the way, where with our generator, it will automatically create it. But I just want you to visualize what you can do with this when it's a Word document. Let's watch the video. So you can obviously color it, and we'll do that process, and you can print it out. And when the lady here prints it out, then what you're going to do is just cut them out and have it as a learning activity where you can use it in so many ways. I said you can use it as a seating arrangement. And if you know your students really well, as soon as they come into the class, you can hand out each one and then pair them with the person you think would be suitable in that seating arrangement. Or you can leave it as a plenary at the end, where each student will stand up, say the definition, and then someone who's got the explanation will need to get up and explain that. So you can use it in a variety of ways, and it'll make your lessons much more engaging and much more collaborative, okay? With that being said, let me show you what we're going to do. So I exported that as a Word document. And if I go to my desktop here, okay, we've got my desktop here. We've got the networking one here. Obviously, it was only a few terms. It's just an example. And there is, the glossary as a Word document. This is where you're going to have to go and, I guess, prettify it. So what you're going to do is the first thing is you're going to go to layout. And then in layout, you're going to change that to landscape. And then over here, what you could do is go to the borders and then put a border here. And then I think if we click on layout, we can auto fit the window here, right? So you could do that. And then you can, obviously, if we had more definitions, it would fill up the page. But what we could do is we could do that. Obviously, you might want to put this in the middle. We put it in the middle, and of course, you can change the colors and do what you like with it. But this is a really fun, engaging activity that you can print out. So the next thing I'm going to show you is that we also exported it as a CSV file. And when you export it to a CSV file, I want to share a website with you, and I'm not sure if you've ever used it. It's called BrainScape. And basically, you can create classes for your students, and they can use this and then assign them these flashcards where they practice these words. So you can sign up for a free account, So I'm in the account right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new class and I'm going to call that networking. When we click on networking, what we can do, so I'm teaching it. And what you can do on the far right is you can import a CSV file. So when I click on the CSV file, I'm just going to click here and navigate to the file in demo 6. And there it is. I should have deleted the first row, but it's just an example. So it's imported 7 cards, and as easy as that, we can now play these cards. So as I said, we should have deleted the first row. So I'm going to say I know this perfectly. And this is the beauty of this BrainScape platform. So what the students do is they'll say, okay, what's bandwidth? And then they reveal the answer. And then once they know it and they think they know it, they just click on perfectly and that won't show up. And as you can see on the left hand side, it's, you know, this is the confidence gained. I haven't tried this out with students because I don't have classes anymore, but I'm assuming that you can enroll your students and you'll have some data about how they're doing with these terms here. So that's BrainScape, and that's how you can import it. The next thing that I wanted to show you is that, and you can do this obviously with VLEs and all the rest of it, but as soon as you have your PDF, and I do recommend that you turn it into a PDF. All right, so this is Teams, and what I would do here is I would definitely click on Files Upload, and I would have a glossary that is always permanent here. So in Teams, all you need to do is just upload that PDF. So if I go to demo 6 and then click on the PDF here, networking, it will upload it obviously into Teams. And then if you select that file and click on the 3 dots, the ellipses, what you could do is you can have this as a tab, which is this option here. Make this a tab. So when I make it as a tab, it's going to show up here in a sec. There it is. And then there you have your glossary as a reference point to the students so they can always go back to it. Now, obviously, if I had a channel here called networking, it will reside there. And as I recommended, that you don't create a very comprehensive glossary, but create separate glossaries for each of the areas that you're teaching. And then they can always go back to it. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, we've got a PDF, correct? So if I click on back all generators and we go to one of my favorites, and I'm sure it's one of your favorites, we'll go to the questions, the multiple choice questions generator. If we click on the multiple choice questions, what we can do, I'm going to just put the word networking in there. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to upload the file. So I'm going to click on upload file here, and then I'm going to navigate to where our file is located. And I'm going to double click on networking. So essentially, I'll put 10. Essentially, what we're doing is we're creating a multiple choice quiz based on the glossary. All right, and there you go. We essentially created a glossary that we can use in a variety of ways. We can use it as flashcards. We can print it out and have it as an engaging activity. We can upload it to BrainScape, and we can also create a quiz based on that PDF. So it's quite a powerful thing when you can use it in all of these versatile sort of ways here. Because we still have 10 minutes, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to go back to all generators. And I think one of my favorites also is the classroom questions. And I want to let you know also that we are going to update this, and it will be Bloom's taxonomy, the updated version, but it will be in the next few weeks. The reason I want to show you the classroom questions is because one area for me when I used to get observed was an area that I found quite challenging, and an area that was identified that requires improvement was I should create questions or ask questions based on Bloom's taxonomy. So if I was still in the classroom, this is what I would definitely be doing. So if I click on, oh, you know what's interesting? Let's try this. I've never done this. I'm going to do networking. I've never done this, by the way, so let's see how it works. I click on upload file. Let's upload the PDF. and see how that works. That's really interesting. I'll do 10 questions. I'll do open, and I'm going to select one cognitive domain at a time, and I'll tell you why. All right, so I'm doing 10 questions. I'm doing networking. I'm going to select this one, and I'm just going to click on generate. And while it does that, I'm going to open up Excel. And if I was still carrying out lessons, if I was still being observed in the classroom, this is what I would definitely be doing. So the next time it won't be an area for improvement. So what I would do is I would open up an Excel spreadsheet, and then I would over here copy this. So, and you can see we've updated it where it gives you the suggested answers. And then underneath knowledge, I would just place that there, and then I would go back, untick knowledge, and I would go to comprehension and then regenerate that. Okay, and I'm going to copy that. You can see it's progressively getting harder, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back in there. Okay, so that one is, you said it's comprehension, isn't it? Yep, I would just place that underneath. And the reason that we do that is, you know, questions are really, really important. Okay, they're extremely important, and designing classroom questions can be quite challenging. And when you prepare like what we've done, questions in advance, you can actually be much more prepared to ask your questions. And because you'll know your students really well, you can start differentiating the question. But what you're going to do is you're going to get the best questions. And then when you walk into the classroom, you know who to target and with what questions, and you're ready for that. So I think this is a fantastic way of preparing your questions, so you're fully prepared when you walk into the classroom, and then you can dedicate 10-15 minutes for these, you know, for a segment of your lesson where you're asking all of these questions, all very prepared. And as you can see, you also have answers for those questions. So those are the two generators that I want to show you on the recording.